Hai sat quietly on the beach, his eyes following each white-capped wave crashing onto the shore. The sun gradually disappeared over the horizon, painting the entire sky in a brilliant hue of orange and red. A gentle sea breeze carried the salty scent of the ocean, making his hair sway slightly. Fishing boats rocked in the distance, tiny silhouettes against the vast water. The sand beneath his feet was soft, occasionally littered with strands of seaweed swayed by the rhythm of the tide. Around him, seagulls called out, their cries blending with the steady sound of the waves, creating a melancholic melody that matched his overflowing emotions. He was 20 years old, young and passionate, yet his heart carried the weight of a love he did not know how to name. The woman he loved, An, was 45, beautiful and captivating. But it wasn't just her appearance that drew him in. It was the depth of her soul, shaped by years of life's storms. And Hai had fallen in love with her, a love so intense that it startled even him. The first time Hai met An was during a breathtaking sunset. He worked part-time at a seaside cafe, and she would come there regularly, seeking a moment of tranquility after a long day. Her graceful demeanor, the melancholic look in her eyes, and her gentle smile captured Hai's heart the moment he saw her. A cappuccino, less sugar. Her voice was as soft as the wind, yet it made Hai's heart race. From that day on, Hai quietly observed her, waiting each day for her to visit the cafe, until it became a habit he could not let go of. Gradually he started talking to her. Their conversations, once brief, grew longer, and shared pieces of her life with him. Her pains, her failures, her unfulfilled dreams. She had once been in an unhappy marriage, had gone through a painful divorce, and had lived alone for many years. There was a quiet loneliness in her, one that only those who paid close attention would notice. Hai didn't know when he started loving her. Perhaps it was the first time he saw her gazing out the cafe window, her slender fingers cradling a steaming cup of cappuccino, her eyes lost in the waves outside. Or maybe it was that evening when they found themselves sheltering under the same awning during a sudden rainstorm, when she laughed at one of his silly jokes. So rare, yet so heartbreakingly beautiful. Or perhaps it was the way his heart raced every time she appeared, how he longed for her greetings, her fleeting glances. Love had crept in so gently yet embedded itself so deeply that he could not shake it off. Maybe it was in the way she smiled softly at the sunset, or the way she absent-mindedly tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. It was a love both fierce and terrifying. He feared the gap between their ages, feared the judgment of others, feared that she would never accept his feelings. Hai spent endless nights pondering, questioning whether this was just a fleeting infatuation or true love. He sought out stories of relationships with significant age differences, read about them, listened to the advice of others. But in the end, his heart refused to let go of his feelings for An. One evening, Hai invited An for a walk along the shore. The sunset that day was breathtaking, the sky ablaze with crimson hues reflecting on the waves. An walked beside him in silence, her gaze distant, as if burdened by unspoken thoughts. "An, are you happy?" Hai suddenly asked, and paused for a moment before letting out a soft chuckle. "Happy? I don't know. I once thought I would be happy if I had a perfect family, but that fell apart. I once believed that if I lived independently, free from relying on anyone, I would no longer feel pain. But sometimes I still feel empty." Hai looked at her, his eyes filled with sincerity. "I want to be the one to fill that emptiness." And remained silent. She knew Hai was serious. But she also knew that a love like theirs would face countless challenges. Love cannot be hidden forever. Hai had endured countless moments where his heart trembled because of An. Those times when he watched her from afar, the evenings he stayed late at the cafe just to catch another glimpse of her. The nights when he sat before his phone, typing and retyping a message asking how she was, only to never send it. Or the countless sleepless nights, haunted by the memory of her smile, her deep, sorrowful eyes. And then, on a bright moonlit night, as the ocean murmured along with the beating of his heart, Hai gathered all his courage to say to her, "I love you, and I have for a long time," and turned to him, her deep eyes reflecting surprise before softening into something gentler. She did not laugh, nor did she reject him outright. She remained silent, and only the sound of the waves filled the space between them. "Do you know what I think, Hai?" she finally spoke. "I once thought that if I were 20 years younger, I might have fallen for you." Hai grasped her hand tightly, his gaze unwavering. "I don't care about age and I only care about what I feel. I want to be with you." But An only shook her head slightly, her smile tinged with sadness. "You are still so young, Hai. Your love is beautiful, but I'm afraid that one day, you'll realize it was a mistake." Hai refused to believe that. He continued to love her, to pursue her with all his heart. He showed his affection in quiet yet profound ways. Through gentle gestures, evening walks along the shore, romantic songs, and simple goodnight messages. Hai's love made An waver, but her fears still loomed large. One day An decided to leave. She took a new job in a distant city, hundreds of miles away from Hai. She knew that only by putting distance between them could she extinguish this love before it became an unhealable wound for both of them. But Hai did not give up. He searched for her, standing in the rain outside her apartment, his eyes full of determination. "You can run from me, but you can't run from your own heart." An broke down. For the first time, she allowed herself to be vulnerable in front of Hai. She had tried to keep her distance, tried to suppress this impossible love, but the more she tried, the more painful it became. And for the first time, she let Hai hold her tightly. Love knows no age. Perhaps their path ahead would not be easy. But at that moment, in the pouring rain, two lonely hearts had finally found each other. In the days that followed, An and Hai slowly built something stronger. Though challenges awaited, they chose to face them together, ensuring their love would not merely be a fleeting dream under a sunset sky.